Hello and welcome to the GrandOldTeam. I'm here with Callum, our football analyst. For those who don't know Callum has been involved in a lot of the Falcon Blues, analysing all the stats and all the tactics from last season. And we are privileged to have him here again today. Callum, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
You'll have also seen Callum on Adam's videos after the match, giving his opinions when Adam's been around the ground. But what we're going to do is we're going to hand this over to Callum a little bit and go through some of the stats, some of the tactics that we used again in the game against Wolves, and just mess around and see what works with this one, because we want to try and do this eventually where we're showing you what's on screen now and hopefully bring out some live stuff for you as well, so you can ask the questions directly to me and Callum, and particularly Callum because I'm not as good as he is, and we'll just picking it up here, best I can here, mate.
No pressure.
Yeah, exactly. We'll try and get a better feel for how these are going forward, but hopefully Callum's with us for the long haul and we'll be able to do this regularly, more and more after each home game or even away game. But Callum, over to you. So again, as I said, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
So we're going back to the Wolves game, 3-2 at home. Very tricky game at times, very physical, very similar to the Watford game where we, despite these two teams who seem to be playing as almost Everton's competition this season between us, Leicester, Wolves and Watford, it was a lot more physical than I expected and not as more tactical from Everton, if anything.
Yeah, totally agree. And Wolves are a really, really good side. And the thing about Wolves is, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get like a real battle in the midfield areas. But also you've got a team who can play football, but can mix it up as well. And you go back to last season, the game I went to. We obviously, when we played and we lost 3-1, it was probably one of our worst performances, and it was around the time when we got knocked out of the cup by Millwall. And I was really thinking, is Silva the man to take us forward, as he got the supporters behind him now, and really questioned him, because I thought in that game was probably for ourselves really flat. We didn't really have any idea or any game plan. For me, there was no sort of structure. We got absolutely overhauled by Wolves. And in that game, you look at how we played, obviously losing 3-1, but there's obviously a lot of mistakes in that game from ourselves, individual errors. You remember the free kick that got put in, we had Jimenez had a free run, and he's headed it through. So
it was
we learned a lot from that game, I think.
Yeah. It was a stark contrast between that game and the 2-2 at their place in the
we should have won. We should have won that game, shouldn't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll go on to the starting 11 and my thinking behind it anyway. So you look at the starting 11 now, it's very different in terms of the starting 11 that started last season. Obviously, a lot different and a lot more quality, I think, in teams. So last season, on this side, Bain started.
Yeah.
He gave away the penalty. Fouled Doherty, brought him down, never scored. Here, we had Zuma last time out. In here, last time out, we had Davis, who sort of can't even get on the bench now.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gomez scored that wonderful goal, didn't make it 1-1. Here we had Richarlison. Here we had Walcott. And here we had Tosin.
Wow.
So
it's a big difference.
So it's a big difference in terms of strength. And you look now from back to front, you're getting a real span now of, players with real experience. Obviously, you've got Pickford now, plays for England. Keane's back in the mix now. Mina, I think for me now, he's proven what a really good player he is. I was probably one of his biggest critics last year, because I thought for a lot of the games he was at fault for in terms of positional play. Against Watford was one of them. Got caught out a couple of times. Obviously now, Delps will come on to him later. So yeah, a very different team. And you look at these front three now, average age of about just over 21, and lot of experience in the Premier League now. Experience in the Premier League, came from Arsenal. Some fans don't rate him at all. Some of the Arsenal fans were gutted that he's left, because he was, really good when he played and he was on the pitch.
It was a bit of a mixed bag. I remember him playing against us and absolutely tearing us a new one as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very mixed bag. A lot of people have said gutted that Iwobi's gone, but and some have gone, how the hell have we?
One of them said he's going to drive him to Everton himself and couldn't wait for him to go. And obviously we all wanted this guy to start, didn't we? You know, crying out for him to start, and it was great to see him. And you know, I think if we can keep them three fit, I think it's going to be a really interesting season. I think he has an extra dimension now, and he's the instigator of our press.
Yeah.
So once he presses, then you've got a Woburn with Richarlison, who are quick players. And if you look at, you know, the best teams in the Premier League, you know, obviously you've got City, you've got Liverpool, Tottenham to some extent, but they're a little bit different in how they do it. But with these three, you know, if we're playing these teams who play out from the back, if these three are pressing you, we're going to make it really difficult for other teams to play out against us if we do it in the right way. And I think that our regains in, you know, the final third will probably improve.
Yeah.
Obviously Sigurdsson's bigger than that as well, but he just hasn't got the speed and agility, you know, dynamics as these three, and he's probably, you know, the weaker one out of these four.
But I would expect Sigurdsson to be the one to sit around and, you know, put
the ball in the box. He'd be the one. Obviously, once he closes the centre back down, he would then show inside. But obviously he'd then cut off the square pass then inside into the midfielders, so that he'd obviously be the screening player, and obviously we try and win it then. So it'd be like goes out wide, comes across, cuts the switch off, goes and presses, sweeps across, and then really then forces them to play inside, and that's where we look to win it then in the central areas. Yeah. So that's what the plan would be. And then biggest thing for me from the last game would be Silva's thinking, looking back at the last game, is these two. Now if you remember in the last game, they had Dendoncker in there, I think it was Neves, I think Matinho played in that game as well, and we had quite a bit of possession, and what happened was we were sending Baines, we were sending Coleman, and when they were winning the ball, obviously with Jimenez, they were playing long diagonals with intention in down the side, and obviously Keane fouled for one of the goals. But what was happening is when they were doing these diagonals, Keane especially was getting dragged into these areas. Yeah. And what happens is then you get dragged out. Jimenez was coming out here, and then you're isolated them with only one at the back. Similar thing happened when we played Man United that time when we lost at Old Trafford. So that would have been a thinking of keeping these together and not letting them get dragged out of position. Yeah. So that would have been the thinking in that game anyway.
Okay, and that moves us on to the Wolves lineup.
Yeah. So as you can see, back three. Keane's got his work cut out against these three. Not really going to move. Not going to get dragged into wide areas. These two very disciplined and when to go, when to stay. He caused all sorts of problems, didn't he? Yeah. You know, especially in that first half. He's so quick, and obviously was involved in their first goal.
It surprised me how much Luca Dean actually struggles.
Yeah, he's got pure pace, hasn't he? And I think the reason why he played as well is, you know, if you've got in with all that pace, Luca Dean now's got to think, okay, when am I going to go and attack and when am I going to stay back? Because I know if I go now, it's going to be, you know, me against Mina getting dragged out, and it caused them a lot of confusion of when he could go and when he could stay. So he really pegged them back at times, to be honest, and he had a really good game. The problem here is obviously with these three central players would be getting the ball into Sigurdsson again, which proved a really difficult thing to do. You look at Sigurdsson's pass map and heat map, lots of his balls he receives are in the wide area, and lots of his passes were in there as well. Nothing really centrally. Again, it proved that we really struggle to get the ball from here into this hole in here. Obviously this guy caused a load of problems as well. Catrone, never really seen much of him, but with two up top, you know, they give Mina and Keane lots to do. But I think Keane and Mina, you were always knowing that these long balls were going to happen from deep from Neves, and you're always on the front foot, and they did win a lot of interceptions. A few fouls got given against us as well, some dubious ones. But I thought Mina and Keane dealt really well with them.
Okay, cool. So we've touched on the tactic, on the lineups and everything, which is great. Obviously, these are good. This is all a big trial and everything for us with Callum and myself.
Yeah.
But what we trying to do is we'll talk about tactics, we'll talk about changes, and you know, obviously we'll have other boards to show you, and we'll be able to look at that. Sorry, Callum, you wanted to just go back onto the team?
So, in terms of, you remember their first goal, don't you? So, when I went out wide? Yeah. To Doma, yeah. So, it came from, obviously, this deep area in here, and I think it went over Richarlison into into this here. And it was Luca Dean against Adama, I can't even pronounce his name, into this area. And what happened, we said before about Mina and Keane, you know, them looking to stay together. Now, realistically, when the ball's gone out wide, Dean's gone and closed them down. And what would normally happen, Mina would be here. He would sort of come across and cover and mark all this space in case Dean gets beat in the 1v1. But because they loaded the box with players and runners, Mina decides, I'm not going to get dragged out there. I'm going to trust Dean, and I'm just going to come and recover centrally. And I'm going to get next to Michael Keane and not leave him isolated. Which obviously we've done, obviously in the reverse fixture last year. So he stays central. So when Dean's in this area, he gets too tight.
Yeah, of course.
And he just gets rolled. And as he gets rolled, he's then away. Delph goes to cover, then realises he's got to play to mark on the edge of the box. So now Adoma gets in, free run, gets into there, and plays a great ball across. And we're a little bit unlucky, I think, in terms of clearing it. And Coleman gets caught at 6s and 7s.
Caught under his feet, really. Rather than being able to enter.
And then they score. So, bit of an individual error. Could mean they're covered maybe, but then would have been obviously playing an underload inside the box. And in terms of our goal, you know, our goal wasn't bad. The first one came from a great press by Keane.
Yeah, that's what you were saying before, wasn't it? Saying we had the legs and we got the three, being able to win the possession back in the final third. If you like, which is making it a lot easier for us, which is something we sort of lacked that, I would think, with the way we played with Calvert-Lewin. Whereas Calvert-Lewin's always been more pressing out on the wings rather than actually.
And he's not as quick as Keane. No. I think Keane's like a different level in terms of his speed and his agility, and he puts defenders under real pressure.
I think with Keane as well, what I see from him is a kind of selfishness for the striker.
Oh yeah.
It's always like, the first opportunity he showed it at Lincoln. The first opportunity he beat the right back and had a shot and it rattled against the post. I've never seen Calvert-Lewin actually try and do that.
Yeah, from that angle as well.
That angle. Yeah. But so you can always see like he's ticking over. It's like, right, this is me. I'm gonna score. I'm gonna win this game. And that was good to see, especially when he put Cody under pressure. Because I can't see Calvert-Lewin being that high up the pitch, putting that kind of pressure on the centre backs. Yeah. He's more on their wingers or on their left on their wing
bit more reserved.
Yeah, definitely. So it's good to see that we finally got someone in there who's willing to mix it up and put it up this end of the pitch rather than a halfway line, just over the halfway line.
Yeah, we've got the players to do that now, haven't you? I think, like you said, when we had Calvert-Lewin and Sigurdsson, we were sort of more of a mid press rather than the high press. And I think now against these top teams, we can go all out and really try and press them high with the pitch. And I think Iwobi, you think he's going to be a really good sign. Was that 2-2 now?
Yeah.
And I think you look at the game and the goal he scores, we're really flooding the box now with players, whereas last season crosses were going in and there was no one even in the 6-yard box.
Yeah, of
course. You look at the weekend, we had 2 or 3 players in there, and that's only going to help us obviously with our goal scoring, really.
Yeah, from the cross from Sigurdsson for Iwobi's goal.
Yeah.
I think it was Richarlison and Iwobi who were inside.
Richarlison flicked it on, I think, didn't he? Flick it round the corner, and then I think Keane and Iwobi ran, didn't he?
Yeah. So there was the opportunities are there. The ball drops, it's anyone's ball, but it was a great header from Iwobi at the back across goal, and it was good to see as well. Iwobi was subbed in the second half for Bernard.
Got a little knock, didn't he?
Yeah, hopefully 2 weeks off, he shouldn't be nothing to worry about. But even bringing Bernard in continued that level of high press and pace and pushing and putting the ball in dangerous areas.
Yeah, we had a few chances when he came on as well, Bernard, didn't he? So it's good that he's a good sub. But as I said, them front three now, average age is just over 21. Future's bright for Everton if they can keep them firing.
Definitely. Okay, so
we're on Delph, aren't we? I think
we move on to one of the players of the game, in my opinion, Fabian Delph.
Got man of the match in the end, didn't he? Got man of the match. You know what? It's a mad signing because he's sort of a forgotten man, isn't he? At City and totally went under the radar, and it shows you how much research Marcel Brand's done, and you're bringing Keane and you're bringing Iwobi in, and now Delph. £8 million. How important could he be to us going forward? And everyone says that we obviously miss Garner, and we do, but I just think Delph just gives you something different.
It's a new level, he
gives you something else. I think he gives you more attacking threat, I think, because the way he was getting the ball, he was spreading it out wide to Luca Dean, he was doing things quick, his tempo was a lot better, he was trying to play through the middle. You know, when 62 passes he attempted, 54 he completed. Loads of them were switching play at pace, and obviously he was trying to hit the front man as well. So he's nowhere near match fit now, and you know, to play at that standard that he did, you know, against a decent Wolves side as well, he was real top drawer. I just hope that we can keep him fit.
Yeah, a lot of people have harked back to the way Gareth Barry used to play.
Oh yeah,
intelligent footballer.
But he was a lot slower, Barry, as well.
But he knew how to pass the ball. He knew how to use the ball to his advantage. He knew he didn't have the legs, but he did when he was younger. But as he's gradually got on, he's had to go, okay, I've had to change my game here and be more intelligent with how I use the ball. And Delph's got both of that at the moment.
Yeah, still got the legs, hasn't he?
Still got the legs to do it. With Garner, it was always like, I've lost the ball, I've got to get it back, I've got to give it off.
And he didn't really carry the ball, whereas I think when Delph gets and he sees space in front of him, he'll obviously drive with the ball, and I think we really missed that from a midfield player, really. But you got to remember, obviously he played for Villa, didn't he? He's gone to City, he's playing week in, week out with absolute top-class, world-class players. He obviously was at England as well, in the England squad, so he brings a wealth of experience, and for £8 million, you know, it could be one of the buys of the summer.
Quality. So that takes us on to, as we said, full time 3-2. Richarlison 2 and Iwobi, and as a lot of plaudits went to Fabian Delph at the weekend, but I think Richarlison just stole it for me. I think he got the man of the match for the fans vote on the Everton website, which I'll push on to
just
in
for
a
that goal alone. I think
so, but his all-round play, I mean, he got a bit of stick. Well, he's not the only one who got a bit of stick after Villa. Yeah. You know, in that they thought we weren't working well. Is Richarlison knackered from his exploits in the Copa America? Yeah, he looked a little bit tired, but always looking a threat. And for me, he gets man of the match for me. But full praise to Fabian Delph, of course, for the work rate that he was putting in and assisting in the team. But I think it's goals where it counts. Where it counts is goals and scoring goals. And for me, Richarlison topped it for me as man of the match.
I think it's a number of things. I think for Richarlison, I think one, you know, people say his fitness and stuff. One thing for me is, you know, we bought him as a left-sided player. He played left side last season. Then he went as a striker. And now, with all the imbalance of the team, and obviously Bernard coming in, he's been put on the right-hand side. So, you know, he's being very flexible in what he does. He's a top-class player, but I just don't think he's enjoyed it on the right-hand side, because he can't get the ball, he can't cut in and have a shot. He's cutting inside on his left foot. And I think, you know, everyone says he's been sulking a lot, whatever. He just looked a bit unhappy and a little bit down. Whether that's, you know, that he hasn't got the fitness and he's a bit, you know, gutted that he can't get past players, or he's not scoring enough goals and whatever, or frustration. But I think, you know, on Sunday, I thought he was just top drawer. And I think that the whole energy level of the team, I think, you know, with Keane starting and Iwobi, there was a real good feel factor of, you know what, we've got a decent team here.
Definitely.
You know, and I think, you know, Keane's highly regarded by all the players. You know, you see the clips of him in training, and he's just like tearing everyone apart. You know, he's tearing Gomez apart in his first training session, and Mina. So I think bringing them players in not only adds to the mood and the competition, but also like raises morale as well, and pushes them other players. You know, if a Keane comes in, who's coming from Juventus, which I was like, this guy's decent here. You know, maybe now I'm not the top player. Now I've got to standards now that this guy's come in. I'm going to raise my game now. And he's done that the weekend. You know, that second goal he scored, where did that even come from? Dean's crossed that in, and there's no way in a million years he should be allowed to head that on the goal. It's going on to Bolly's head. He's going to head it away, and he's come from nowhere.
If anything, Luca Dean shouldn't have been able to put that ball across.
No, Wolves
will
be disappointed with that, because to be fair, their play doesn't really put he puts a meaningless leg out, and he should be blocking that for the corner, to be honest. But you know, the cross by Dean to pull it back there, 6-yard box, and you know, the timing of the run is everything for that goal, because without the timing of the run, and you know, the accuracy of the header, that's no goal, because that should be clear by Bolly, but he just doesn't even see him, because he just hides behind him, waits for him, jumps in front, and the leap on him, absolutely unbelievable. And you look at the weeks before where he's missed headers, I think against Villa, and then he scored 2 absolute belters in the last 2 games.
Exactly. I think the scoreline as well, I think we could have had a couple more there easily, but for Rui Patricio, 2 excellent saves, one from Mina, and one
the Mina one was incredible, wasn't it? He's got down low there.
and there was Richarlison's shot just after he'd scored the second, where he pulled it in from the right.
Yeah.
Left foot, Callum shot, and you know, British Joe's palmed it away. But I think another day, another team, we'd have had 5 there.
Yeah, I think so, and I think what we've got to cut out. We need to maintain consistency. We need to keep that standing out each week, because I think once we're not at the level of, you know, a City where they can fall below par and win games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we've got to be at a high level virtually every week to win. Do you know what I mean? Because you haven't got enough quality just as yet. But you know, the thing is for me is the goal. You know, we've won 3-2, but the goals we're conceding, they're just silly goals. Yeah. You know, the second goal, you know what Wolves are going to do. They're going to throw it in the box. Okay, so I think our organisation, from that point of view, I watched it back quite a few times. I thought it was really poor. Bolly is 6'5", right? So in the clip, Gomez and Delph are on him for some reason, and it's probably more to block him getting up for a header. But they're only small. He doesn't have to jump even. He's 6'5". But Keane then is behind him, and he's 6'2", and you've got Mina who's 6'5" on the other side. Now Mina should be doing Bolly, with Keane then going to where Mina was, and then Delph and Gomez acting as extra players to get up any rebounds. Yeah. But instead we send Delph and Gomez onto Bolly, and then Keane tries to join in. He's nowhere near it. Once Bolly flicks that on, it's now a 3v3. You've got Dean, Sigurdsson, and Mina. Obviously Pickford stays in his line. Yeah. Jimenez then runs in behind Dean because Dean's flat-footed and knocks it in the goal. And it's just, again, a silly goal to concede, and one that Silva would be disappointed with, I think.
Definitely. I think it goes to show that despite the assist for Richarlison's goal, that Luca Dean wasn't at the races much on Sunday, but then he still gets the match winner like that. The match winner like that. I think it's just an all round, just a chalk one off as a bad day at the office. He'll know he's had a bad game, which is what I like about Luca Dean's attitudes with that. You know full well he won't have another game like that.
No.
He'll be furious with himself over that. So, you know, silly sloppy mistakes, but I also think that we can bounce back from it. I think we've got now 2 weeks to recharge, 2 weeks to go over where we've conceded, because we did similar at Lincoln. You know, obviously you weren't going to
21 seconds. That second one though.
you weren't stopping that second one, but again, straight from the kick-off, we're conceding, and it's a sloppy goal to give away. It's poor defending. You can come back against them teams, but I think if we're at home in the future, like at Christmas time, got some hard games. You know, we can't afford that lapse in concentration or that switching off, because once you can see the goal against a top team, you're not coming back, or you're going to get a draw at most. You're not going to get the win, are you? So, and then we'll go on to Bournemouth next game, isn't it? It is, yeah. Just wanted to touch on. I'm just going to jump back to here.
Yeah.
One of the questions that's been bouncing around a couple of the fan chats and stuff like that is a potential 4-4-2.
Yeah.
I think to allow these two more pitch time, more opportunity, more threat up front, if you like. What's your thoughts on it? I mean, in my opinion, I think it can work to an extent, but I wouldn't want it permanently. I would maybe use it maybe as if we're chasing a game and we need to push on, we need that threat up top. I would never consider using it on a regular basis. What's your thoughts on it?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you can go to that 4-4-2 diamond, can't you? So you can go one in there, one in, then one in here. But obviously then all your width, which can happen, that's assumed in there, haven't I?
That's okay.
Is going to come from these wide players in here. So going back on that. So if you're going to do that, it's usually going to miss out really. If you're going to go 2 up top, your first thing is you can't play him central. So for me, it'd go Richarlison up top next to Keane as 2. And then it's about what you do in here. So do you put Iwobi as an extra little engine and put him in next to Delph, and then drop Gomez in there as a 4? Or you drop Delph in and then play Iwobi next to Gomez and then keep Sigurdsson in there, because Richarlison can't play central. So that would be your main one. Them 2 up top, occupying the 2 centre-backs, both quick. And you're looking, teams then who play against you will really try and defend deep on the edge of their own box, because they start playing the high press, balls in behind, these would be in all day.
Yeah.
So I'd say them 2, diamond, and then whoever comes in or whoever misses out. You could even say that Sigurdsson mightn't fit into that because he hasn't got the engine of a Wobie. Take Sigurdsson out, a Wobie goes in.
Yeah.
And then, you know, who'd you bring in? And maybe a Snarderlin. Snarderlin goes in there. You play Gomez and Delph and keep them together.
Yeah.
Or Davis, you know. There's a mixture there, and it's something that I think we can definitely try out in the cup games. But obviously, at the same time, we want to progress. We're probably playing Sheffield Wednesday away.
Yeah.
But, you know, Sheffield Wednesday, no disrespect, Championship. I think a 4-4-2 down with these two up front would cause all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard then for teams as well, because once you play 4-4-2, obviously you're exposing the wide areas, obviously in the 2v1 situation. But centrally, you've got an overload every single time with four in midfield. So realistically, you should just control the game all day. It's just important that these two obviously give the width, but at the same time don't get caught out at the same time and then isolate these two at the back. So yeah, there's loads. I'd like to see a Wobie central, you know, I really would, because I think if you had, I know everyone doesn't like Walcott and whatever, but say for example you had, even if you had, say you had Walcott, so say you had Richarlison on the left, Walcott on the right, and then Wobie central there as your four quick players, I think that would be really hard to defend against, you know, and Walcott would have to be obviously a lot more better form. We'd have Walcott, Richarlison, Keane and a Wobie in the centre. I think he's so quick with carrying the ball. I think if his decisions can improve, he's going to be an absolute player, and he can play anywhere, either centrally or even as a 10 if needs be.
Yeah. Would you consider Bernard in that position then to Walcott, or would you say Walcott being a bit more disciplined?
What, in the wide area?
In the wide area. So if you put in a Wobie central,
yeah, you could have Bernard there. I think in terms of the dynamics, in terms of counter attack and speed and decision making, I just think, you know, the quicker players for us. I think Bernard in the final third, I think he's a really good player, but he makes some terrible decisions. You know, the amount of times he could shoot or doesn't shoot and then pulls it back at the wrong time, you know, and improves in terms of his goals to games ratio as well.
Yeah, I think that would be more a fan choice rather than, I think it would be like heart rule in the head.
Yeah.
To play Bernard in the ways that you're saying, more than anything.
But even like you said, you know, if we're going to play two, you could easily go Keane and Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
Even Keane and Tosin would be decent, you know, because you'd have Tosin like the more hold-up player, which would free Keane up then to like make runs in behind. I don't think, we were saying the other day about Keane, you know, he's a great player, but he played against three centre-backs, and he's a player who wants the ball in behind. He doesn't really want it into his chest and then to lay it off. He every time he gets it there, he wants to turn and run the play straight away. That's his game, isn't he? When you got the ball on the right hand side and he's done that little step over and that shot, he's like a young Lukaku, isn't he? I think he's going to be an absolute top player.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Okay, so that takes us on to Bournemouth next week. In 2 weeks, so we've got a nice little break at the moment.
Yeah.
I think what we'll do is we'll touch on that at a later point, because I think we'll need to know who's back from international.
Who's fit, injured, 4 players injured. In
typical Everton fashion.
Pippa gets injured, Stekelenburg's in against Bournemouth.
Don't. So what we'll do is we'll come back to that in a couple of weeks. Me and Paul will try and do that with a live one again. Let us know in the comments what you've thought about today.
Go easy.
Be nice. This is Callum's first foray into the tactics on GrandOldTeam, but I'm sure you'll happily join us again for another one, won't you?
100%, yeah.
And we want you to be nice if we try and decide to do this live as well. So you ask all the questions to Callum, and we'll do our best to answer them for you. If you like the way this has gone, give us a comment below. If you think we can do something a little bit different, a little bit better, let us know. We're happy to make changes and see how these go. But for tonight, it's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday, so hump day's over. I'm going to bed in a little bit. Callum, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully be back with us after the Bournemouth game, and we'll wrap it up then.
Thanks for listening. Thank you,
mate. Cheers. Oh, while I think on then, just before I do let you go, how can they reach you if they do want to ask you questions pre-YouTube channel?
Pre-YouTube, just on me Twitter, isn't it? So I'm on Twitter in WF Analyst. So I'm on there most days. So any questions, just fire them away, and I'm sure I'll be tagged in on the video when it goes up.
Absolutely,
as well,
we'll put all the details to follow Callum in the comments. Till then, up the toffees. Catch us in a bit. Nice one.